Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Bo and Joe Show. I'm Joe Tierney here with Bodine Sanders, and we have a lot to talk about tonight in the world of sports. I think my goodness, we could go from, we already talked about it, we're going from golf to NFL to hockey. We have the whole gamut tonight. So, but let's start with how's life, Bodine, and what's happening in your world?
Well, we are in the midst of a serious rainstorm. There's tornadoes that landed touchdown in Maryland and in the suburbs of Philadelphia and a few counties. So we're getting parts of that hurricane tropical storm that came from the south, and it's raining kittens and puppies up here in the Philadelphia area. And I mean, it's coming down. So yeah, that's I was hoping we wouldn't have a power outage. Pico is our energy provider up here, and trucks were everywhere today. So far so good. Knock on wood.
So it's funny. I'm actually here. I'm on vacation, on location again in Cape Cod, and we are supposed to be getting this storm, Hurricane Ida, or the remnants of Hurricane Ida, right around 11, right at the conclusion of the Bo and Joe show. So perfect timing. So we already have some people tuning in. Justin, of course, our super fans on. George, our second super fan, and then Will Poston. Speaking of Hurricane Ida, hi, he's here. Will is actually down. He was down, and I don't know how well you know Will, but he is a reporter down in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and he was right there in the thick of things and
Really?
reporting live for. He was working for about 17 hours straight. So glad you're rested
Wow.
up and you're joining the show, Will, and that you're safe. So thanks for tuning in.
Thanks,
So
Will. I appreciate it. I grew up in Florida, so I know those hurricanes very well. And more power to you for hanging in there. Appreciate it.
So, where we could start? I think we should start with Cam Newton. What do you think? He's released by the Patriots. I don't know. Do you think he's played his last game in the NFL? What do you think?
Well, remember we talked about this last week, right?
We did.
Right? It's if you're a leader of the team, and again, the quarterback position is designated the leader of the team. So you have to do the things you're supposed to do as the quarterback. And when you go against that, you're basically an extension of the head coach or the offensive coordinator, the organization. And if there's issues there, you've got problems. Right?
Agreed.
We've seen this movie before a ton of times when it comes to quarterbacks. So, who knows? And Bill Belichick is the best coach in the league. He's going to rank up there as some people will argue he's one of the greatest coaches or the greatest coach. That's a topic of discussion we'll have when he retires. But he is the smartest coach in the league. You can't fool Bill Belichick. So he knows what's going on. He doesn't play games. It's all about the team. He's in control. He makes the decisions. Right? So
right. So did you see the backlash? Some of the other Patriot players, and I can't recall the gentleman's name. They came out and I assume they're teammates and fans of Cam Newton. They said Bill Belichick is just like any other coach. He's so I wonder what the backlash is going to be on that gentleman. And I don't know if Justin can pull that up for me. I forgot that player's name, but yeah. So they came out in defense. Justin saying Asante Samuel. So.
Oh. Again, it's just like when Donovan McNabb was the quarterback here in Philadelphia. It was Donovan McNabb's crew versus T.O.'s crew. When you divide a locker room, you can't win. So Bill Belichick knows that. So he figures, let's get rid of the problem. At least he gave Cam Newton, he treated him with respect. People may not know this. He treated him with respect. He said, listen, Cam, you got a choice. You can either be the backup or we can release you. It's your choice. Right? So
Right.
Cam being the person that he is, he's not going to be a backup. He figured he'll get a better shot at being a starting quarterback somewhere else. So he probably said, hey, release me. I can handle that. That's why his text message or social media message was, it's okay. Everything's fine. I'll be okay. Because he probably gave Cam a choice and Cam chose to be released. And let's move on. So now, which is the right move, right? Coaches will and general managers will appreciate he did that, because if he'd have stayed, it would have created a problem in the locker room. He understands that. He's a veteran.
Now what? Do you expect he'll be picked up? The rumor is that he's going to be looked at. The Cowboys are going to pick him up. Do you think that they will, or do you think his days are done?
Jerry Jones will pick him up in a minute. Absolutely. That's Jerry Jones. Jerry's going to sign him just in case Dak gets hurt or comes out and starts out, not on his game, because remember what happened to Dak last year. So they'll give Cam some time to learn the playbook and get him in there if they need to. But Dak is the quarterback for the future. Dak's not going to get hurt, personally, mentally, or emotionally, because he's not on his game. He knows he's there. He's getting paid. So he's not going to lose his job to Cam Newton for the long term. That ain't going to happen. So it's the perfect setup. You bring Cam in, Cam helps out, and Cam basically is auditioning for a starting job for the following year, right? Cam's on his P's and Q's. The pandemic is under control next year. Don't have to worry about that. Boom. So yeah, Jerry Jones is going to make it happen, because he needs to win playoff games. He can't go another year, right? He can't go another year.
We have some comments that disagree with you. George is saying the Cowboys already picked up Greer today. Cam won't be signed. Will is saying he needs to go to Houston, and George is agreeing. George is saying,
well, Houston's got that's an option. That's an option.
I agree with Will. He would probably end up in Houston.
Yeah, I mean, again, these guys are on top of it. I'm not on top of it, but I know Jerry Jones. If he had a chance to pick up Cam Newton, he would try it. They obviously put a statement out, so that's fine. But yeah, Houston's got problems with their quarterback. They need a leader. There's maybe a couple more teams. What did they say? Houston. Who was the other team that they said?
Just Houston. That's all they said.
Yeah, there's a couple of teams out there that could use Cam as a backup and maybe compete for the starting role maybe mid-season. So we'll see what happens. That's what makes it interesting.
So Adam is saying he only wants to go somewhere where he has the possibility of starting, which I'm sure is probably true. What do you think?
Possibility. That's the word. Key word, possibility. He's not going to start day one. The season starts, in 5 days, 6 days.
And Jason's asking, Bodine, would Cam end up in Miami to compete with Tua?
No, not compete as a backup. Tua is there. That's their guy. They got, no. If Cam wants to be a backup, he can play anywhere. But they want to know, is he okay with being and swallowing his pride to be a backup? If his agent says that, sure, everybody's after him. But Cam is probably saying to his agent, I want to be a starter or compete for a starting job. And that's his agent's job.
And Will is saying you can see him in Houston, Washington, and Dallas.
There you go.
No, who knows? So let's ask the big question. Do you think that his vaccination status had an impact on that decision?
In New England?
No, not New. Yes, in New England. Do you think that is vaccinated? Do you think that was part of the reason he was released?
No, I think Mac Jones beat him out because Mac came from a system that is similar to what Belichick and the Patriots run. He was basically groomed in Alabama because we know Nick Saban is mentored by Belichick. So Jones was groomed for this job. Matt Jones is not an athletic quarterback. He is a in the pocket, get the ball out quarterback. He's a traditional quarterback, right? So that is Belichick's system, right? That's why Tom Brady is who he is today, right? You could beat Tom Brady in a foot race, Joe. Okay.
If you say so, but I'm a little doubtful of that. I usually agree with you 100%, but I don't know.
So no, it's all about the quarterback fitting in the system, right? And Cam tried to fit in their system as best he could. And they had to, they basically had to change their offense for Cam, right? So there is a spot for Cam somewhere. It just wasn't, you draft a quarterback in the first round, 14 or 15, who comes from Alabama, who's got all the tools in terms of being a traditional quarterback. Yeah, I mean, that's a no-brainer. And the kid lit it up from what the reports are, what we didn't see behind the scenes. The kid was lighting it up, and he showed that during the preseason. So they know.
Well, so far I like him, so I'm glad he's getting that opportunity.
My hometown quarterback. Yeah.
I like him.
From Jayville, right? Now listen, Alabama's got 3 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Tua, Miami, here in Philly, and now the Patriots. And they were all on the same team at the same time in Alabama. Tell me that's not a football factory. We all know it is.
That's true. That's true. So let's talk about your hometown team. Did you see the controversy with the Jaguars? Coach Urban Meyer, he's being investigated by the NFL Players Association. He was asked if the cuts made today, or I believe it was today, they had to get down to their 53-man roster, and he said outright that vaccination status did factor into those decisions, which I would believe that they would. But of course, once you can't pronounce that publicly, so now he's in the spotlight. He's in a little bit of hot water. The Jaguars front office retracted that statement and said that was untrue, but it's out there, and I'm sure it probably is true. What do you think?
He said the quiet part out loud, didn't he? Hey, it's his first year as a head coach. He's got to put his foot down. He's got to set the boundaries. Guys got to know who's in charge. And this pandemic has created all kinds of issues on and off the field. And he's trying to find a way to get to ring it in regarding his team. Coaches know what it takes to win. And Jacksonville is, they know what it's like to win in terms of the fan base. They know what it's like to lose. And he's trying to do the best he can. And so, hey, I think it had everything to do with it in terms of whatever the percentage was. But he's trying to take control of his team. And he's putting his foot down. He just said it out loud. You can't say it out loud. Now, what's the worst going to happen? They get a fine, right? The league comes down on them, give them a fine. The Players Association cries and moans and whines, and they work it out. So what? Let's keep it moving.
All right. So speaking of great coaches, I want to give you a little bit of a shout out under your tutelage. Joanne looking more comfortable talking sports each week. So that's due to my coach, Coach Bodine. So, you got this front office. We're like a well-oiled machine now, thanks to you. So thanks, Adam. Thanks for noticing. I am doing my homework.
Appreciate it. Yep. She's got her head in the playbook, Adam. She's doing what it takes. That's all. You got to get your head in the playbook. You can't rely on just your athletic ability. You got to get your head in the playbook. That's what I learned. That's what we all learned.
So speaking of COVID, I'm going to keep going on that topic. Did you see the story coming out of the MLB network where two seasoned right broadcasters have decided they're not going to get vaccinated, and who is it? I think it's I wrote it down. Who John Smoltz and Al Leader have said that they're going to discontinue in studio work for the MLB network because they do not want to get vaccinated, and the network mandated that their in studio personnel need to. They are going to continue to work remotely until the 2021 season. But I think we're delving into, well, it's the same thing. I mean, and I've seen it now. I see it in organizations across the country. People are mandating that their employees, and they are employees, are get vaccinated, or you're going to lose your positions. And yeah, it's certainly infiltrating the sports world as well.
Listen, this is, you're starting to see who, how should I gracefully put this? You're starting to see who works well within the scope of team rules and as a player, right? So if you look back at Smoltz and you look at his career and you go, okay, was it a smooth career or was it bumpy? If it was bumpy, you can say, well, hey, maybe we could see this coming. You know, some people like to fight City Hall and some people don't, right? So I was a rebel on a small scale, not a large scale. But I was never one to fight City Hall, so to speak. I mean, the basic, I mean, some things are just common sense. We talked about this. If you want to play as a youth, you got to get your parents to sign the permission slip. You got to get the equipment. You got to get the physical, or you can't play. It's the same with companies, right? Companies are now saying, hey, listen, our job isn't just to make money, it's to protect our employees. It's a family, right? So if it's a family, everybody is there to help each other and protect each other. If you've got a few people saying, no, I don't want to be a part of the family, I want to do my own thing, then okay, go do your own thing somewhere else. I mean, yeah, if you're participating in a single sport, right? That makes sense. But if you're participating in a team sport, it's a team sport. Do what the team does.
Agreed.
It's not that difficult.
It's not. I mean, I do understand the realm and of freedom of choice and all of those things, but the reality is they're not volunteers, and we've spoken about that as well. If, we were mandated to get the shot. I mean, I had already done it, but it's just the reality. That's what you have to do if you want to work in certain organizations, and even in my organization, we've seen positive COVID cases, and unfortunately, it really is taking a toll on people. And so I'm torn about it. I do get it, and I think that sports figures are in a different position than the general populace because they can probably afford to walk away from their positions where the everyday Joes really can't. And I've spoken to people even on our own network who, if unfortunately they were mandated to get the shot, they are nervous about it, and they had to do it to keep their job. So I think when we talk about that, it's I get it. I get the principle of it. But so I want to continue on the topic of networks. So I found this story very intriguing. Well, first I'm going to let's bring up George's comment. We
Oh
haven't shown
yeah.
any of
Yeah,
George's.
I got George sent me a text message or a message. Yeah.
So he's saying, I look at the COVID shot like the polio shot. You get it to help it in prevention. It was that simplistic for me. I could have the choice of not getting it, but my parents are older now, and it just made common sense to me. But that's just me. And agreed. I had the exact same thought. So we don't want to neglect you, George. I'm getting your comment out there, but so back to the big story. The big story. Did you see how ESPN got duped with the fake high school team? They put it out there. There was their marketing partner, Paragon Marketing, usually selects the teams to play in their high school, any televised high school matchups. So they had two teams, and it's not funny. I'm laughing, but one was the IMG Academy, a very
Mm-hmm.
reputable team, and they
Mm-hmm.
went against Bishop Sycamore, which it turned out really isn't even a school. They only had three students enrolled all in last year. They put the two teams up on national TV. Bishop Sycamore, it turned out that there really were a bunch of junior college dropouts were recruited for this team. And it's sad in some respects. They thought their parents paid $1,000 a piece to get these kids in there, and then many of them were from impoverished homes, and they thought that there was going to be their big break and they were going to get discovered. And the two teams went head to head, and Bishop Sycamore was defeated 58-0. But the real problem was that they were really mismatched in terms of ability, and there was fear that these players in Bishop Sycamore were going to get seriously hurt out there. And so ESPN was criticized because they didn't know what was going on, and they should have been in part of that decision making process. But what do you think? Did you hear about it, and what are your thoughts?
Well, I did not hear about it. Um, I George, being the great guy that he is, sent me a message that alerted me to it just before we came on air, so I didn't have time to research it. The only thing I can say is someone's going to lose their job. Someone didn't do their due diligence. Somebody trusted somebody along the chain, and it's unfortunate, right? Somebody's gonna lose their job because that's embarrassing. Um, and it's everybody learns. Even if you're the most powerful sports organization on the planet, you still have to do your due diligence. I mean, people get pranks, right? Remember the pranks were being played on radio. Was it Howard Stern was the first maybe to do it? So you just have to do your due diligence. You can't trust just anybody. You really can't. So
Yeah, the real tragedy is how heartbreaking it is for those players. And so Will saying, I didn't realize this. One of those guys playing for Bishop ended up tearing his ACL too. Not a good look. Yeah, these poor kids. So yeah, they're really being scrutinized, and even though some of them were in college, but I think it's heartbreaking for them. They thought that they were going, and their parents, here they are thinking they're giving their kids a great shot at being discovered. And I'm sure $1,000 was a lot of money to those families, and really, the school duped ESPN and said that they had some Division I prospects that were on the team, and it didn't look like there were any top level prospects for sure. I watched part of the game, and really it was just they were just being decimated and really crushed. So sad all around.
yeah, it's sad all around, and there's some deeper learning lessons, right? People place so much value in and on getting discovered because they believe that's their only shot of becoming famous or earning a scholarship or this, that, and the third, and they didn't have a support structure and system to help them navigate that. And again, you read my book. I'm lucky. I had females who were smart, who knew how to navigate that when I didn't know how. My godmother, my sister, a couple of friends, and I guess I got lucky. But there's a downside to chasing a dream, and it's good to trace your dreams. You just got to have the right people around you, right?
Yeah, definitely.
If you
And
don't,
you
mistakes will happen.
And you also have to have the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think all those kids had the talent that was required. So
Apparently
I'm
they
gonna,
didn't.
yeah. So I'm going to bring up Justin's comment because I know this is something you want to delve into, and this will start it off. I think you're going to disagree with Justin, but I'm going to bring it up. Bryson DeChambeau overrated. So
Justin, Justin, our main man. Listen, DeChambeau is not overrated. The guy is a player. He's just his personality. You know, those egos amongst those pro golfers is thick, and everybody's got an ego. You got to have one in order to be on that level playing golf. But he rubs people the wrong way. He rubs the crowd the wrong way. I like the guy. He's he's quirky. He's a geek. You know, those he's an Urkel. He's a smart guy. Um,
we got Adrian
yeah.
weighing in. He said he gets in his own way, which is probably true.
So he's not for everybody. I like the guy because I get him. But sometimes you take the good with the bad, right? So, um, what do you think?
I think it's Uh, I like unique people. I like that he has really defined himself in his own niche, and I think that I am particularly fond of people who don't necessarily cater to the fans. And I think that I think the fans are tough, and I want to talk about that in the MLB too. But fans are tough, and I think that and especially in baseball when you're booing against your own team. But it's a little bit different in golf, of course, because it's a one person sport. It's not a team sport. But I think that he should be championed for being unique. That's what we want to teach our children. We want to teach people to walk their own path, to define themselves. And I love how he reinvented himself and went from he understood and saw his deficits and reinvented himself and his body. And I have to give him a lot of credit for that. So I'm a
Mhm.
fan. I'm not a huge I'm more on the fringes of golf, and I do enjoy it, but I'm not as up on that as I am on the other sports, and I'm paving the way because I know it's important to you. But I do like him, and so Adrian is saying no, we did not. We are going to get there. We are going to get there, Adrian. So I don't know. Are we done with the golf? Well, I don't want to rain on that parade before I bring on Adrian. What else? I know you wanted to talk about a little bit more about golf, so let's
No,
continue on.
no. I'll wrap this up with saying, listen, the fans um, in golf are no different than the fans in other sports. They got to tone it down. You can't cross the line, and that's why the PGA came out with their new rules policies regarding heckling and harassing the golfers, because you have to accept the fact that golf is different than football and basketball and baseball, right? It's just a different sport, right? We can't change every aspect of golf because we're advancing and enhancing golf on other levels, right? Because we're trying to include diversity, because we're trying to create equality, doesn't mean it gives the fans the right to um, incorporate their personalities and the fans' uh, actions the way other sports do, right? Golf is the type of sport where there's quiet involved, right? There's etiquette involved. So there are times to cheer, and then there are times you should keep it quiet, right? So, hey, let's keep some of those traditions the same, right? And respect the golfers. So the golfers who are poking the prod at DeChambeau by saying Brooksy, when Brooksy's not even on the course or on the tee box or in the fairway, they're trying to get under the skin of DeChambeau because he and Brooksy doesn't get along. So come on, let's grow up. Let's be adults about it. There are other ways to get under his skin. Just don't clap for him if he get a good shot. That'll bother him more than anything.
So Tim's saying he loves it when fans yell, "Get in the hole off the tee."
Listen, again, there are certain etiquettes that should be followed in every sport. So now, off that topic, let's talk about Tiger Woods only because it's been 25 years. I think we covered this last week. His putter his backup putter, not the putter he used, his number one putter, his backup putter that he used in 2002 sold at auction for almost $400,000.
Oh my gosh. That's
Imagine,
who bought it? Who bought it? Do we know?
I don't know, but just imagine if he sold all of his backup equipment, not his number one equipment, his backup equipment, he could still make $10-20 million. It is amazing. The rich keep getting richer. The rich keep getting richer. That is amazing. So I thought that was amazing. From 2002, and it's a backup putter, not the starting putter. Wow, amazing.
I didn't want to tell you, but I was the one who picked that up. I was going to send it off to you for your birthday. You ruined the surprise now. You ruined the surprise. All right, so I want to bring up Adrian's comment. This is on my list, Adrian, and we have not discussed it yet. Did I miss you guys talking about Baez and Lindor? Did you see that story, Bo? Where, that's another one that Javier Baez, he gave the thumbs down to the fans.
The baseball guys. Yeah.
And there was a big controversy. The New York Mets actually having a secondary controversy I'm going to speak about after this. But so what do you think? I mean, do players have the right and should they be denigrating their own fans? I mean, obviously the fans were very hard on him and he was retaliating, but should we be rising above that type of behavior if we're representing an organization?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a lot of time to think about it, but I will say this. When in doubt, fall back to your foundation. And the foundation is you don't do that to the fans. Yes, finding ways to motivate yourself and the team to get out of a slump is fine, but not that type of motivation where you're rubbing it in the face of the fans. No, it's not a good look. Behind closed doors in the locker room, you can do whatever you want when the cameras are not on you. But when the cameras are on you and the media is covering you and the fans are seeing it, it just doesn't make sense. Regardless if it motivates the players and teammates or not, it's not a good look. And we know in sports and almost in everything, it's about what's it look like? What's the perception? It just doesn't look good. So no, they've got to do a better job.
Well, it wasn't even the perception. He was asked about it, and he came right out and said
he did.
Yeah. I do think he did have a good point, and he said, he called out the fans and said, if you're gonna win with us, then you need to lose with us too. So I think that's a good point, but of course he's not the one who should be carrying that torch. Javi Baez, Will is saying, is so pathetic and bad for the game, arrogant and conceited. Lindor shouldn't be coming down to that level either. Pathetic. Then we have Adrian. So it's proven that some players do not handle playing in New York very well. Hopefully Lindor will make the adjustment. Baez is only a rental, so probably won't be there next year. Will saying the ticket, jersey, and concession sales are the only reason those bums have a contract.
and again, you can't win. To me, that's fighting City Hall again. You can't win. Now, that comment he made saying the fans should support us, if he'd have led with that in a press conference, that would have maybe turned some fans from rooting and being booing them to saying, okay, he's got a point. But that comment means nothing now when you're doing the thumbs down on TV in front of the world. It means nothing. So you're biting your nose off to spite your face. It's too late, right? Because look at the comments. Guys are like, no, I'm done.
Yeah. So then, did you see today? It was reported that the New York Mets general manager Zach Scott was arrested for DUI to add to their misery. Yeah. So he's I assume he's going to be out, but he's sitting out for I believe it's for a week at least. But I think that's a tough blow to the New York Mets organization especially when you're leader. And I think that's another. We see that so often. We see professional athletes getting behind the wheels, getting behind the wheel when they're drunk. I mean, obviously nobody can condone that, but I think to myself, these people can certainly afford an Uber. Why are you even putting yourself in that position? It's really, in this day and age, there's no excuse for it. I don't know what your thoughts are, and I assume you concur, because it'd be hard to disagree with that.
No excuses. If you're the leader and you're the general manager, if that would have happened with a player, he would have been in front of the media saying, we can't have this. He should know better. So come on, right? So I agree with you. And the question is, are they going to dig a little deeper and see if he needs to go to rehab, Alcoholics Anonymous, whatever? The HR's got to get involved, right? And so they've got to clean this up, because it's now a stain, an additional stain on the team, because now you're giving folks the ammunition to say, who's running this organization?
And unfortunately, I don't believe anybody got hurt. I didn't hear anything to that effect. But if they had, that would be an entirely different story. I mean, what was that story last year when what team was it? And I can't recall now, that the assistant coach, he actually got into a major accident. His father, it was the NFL team, and they were who was in the play in the
Kansas City.
in the World.
Kansas City, our former coach, Andy Reid, his son, unfortunately, who Andy Reid has had previous issues with his sons, and he had some issues with his son here in Philadelphia when he was the coach here. So it's unfortunate, and it happened during Super Bowl week, and that's a shame.
Yeah, it was a shame. Yeah, and that was tragic. I'm trying to scroll back, and Jason had a question, and I do want to address that. And I thought it was an interesting question. It's way up in the back. I think he was asking. I can't find it, but I think he was asking, what team do you think is going to be the most surprising this year? I'm trying to find it.
In the NFL, is that what he?
I believe so.
Still too early for me. I can't answer that because I didn't pay attention. I don't pay attention to a lot of the preseason. So,
who will be the most surprising team this year?
Well, if I'm on the spot, I'm going to say the New England Patriots. I'm going to say the New England Patriots. That's going to be, and folks, somebody might take this out of no, because it's Bill Belichick. No. If he takes that rookie quarterback and they do a great job and win, 8 to 10 games with a rookie quarterback, that's going to be surprising. So,
I would love to see. I would love to see Tom Brady up against Mac Jones. I think that would be a great game.
That'd be a problem. It'd be over. No, Tom would get too jacked up for that. No. That Tom would win that, because Tampa is stacked. Tampa is stacked with a good defense, just like the Patriots has a good defense. No, that wouldn't be. Tom would rub it in. He would seriously rub it in. No. But that's, who do you think? Who do you think is going to be a surprise? Have you had a chance to think about it or notice a few teams?
I don't know yet. I'm still, I'm still learning. I'm still learning all the players, but they're saying week 4 it is going to happen. That it is going to be happening. Tampa goes to New England in week 4. Adrian is saying, so we are going to get to see it.
There you
Uh,
go. There
yeah,
you
so I
go.
will. That'll be interesting. Will is saying I think the Chargers will surprise a bit of people this year. Herbert with another year under his belt could do him some good. Um, and Tim is saying the Tom is playing, he'll play his son in the bowl. So, so
No,
I think Mac Jones is going to surprise a lot of people, and
yeah.
I think that he may have a chance against Tom. I'm gonna root for him in week 4.
It's going to get a lot of ratings, no doubt about it. I'm looking for. I got to get my NFL ticket. I got to upgrade my package for the NFL package because I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to miss
Oh my God.
anything. Oh yeah,
Eh,
no.
Well,
So
I never envisioned that I would say I might have to get the NFL package, but that might happen. That might happen. George is saying that's why the Bears are not starting Justin Fields. They play the Rams week 1. Rule number 1, don't put your rookie quarterback against the best defense and make him look bad. Wait till week 2 and Fields will probably be named the starter. That's a good point. I never
give
thought of
him
it,
some
George.
give him
Yeah.
some time. I would even wait till the midpoint of the season, right? I would. Give the kid a chance to sit and watch from the sideline, see how fast a real game is, not a preseason game, a real game. How the level of intensity increases from practice to preseason to a real game where money is seriously on the line. Checks are, cashing the checks on Tuesdays. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
wait.
Yep.
I would
So
wait.
Will is saying as a Bears fan, he wants to see Fields come in around week 5 or 6, and Adrian is agreeing that it will be week 2, but Fields will start this season. So that's yeah, I'm wondering about the Bears. They may cause. I agree with Will. They may cause some damage as well. So that's something interesting. So what do you have out there in the NFL? What do you have of interest that we may have missed?
For me, I don't think that's it for me. Let me see. What did I write anything down? No, that's it for me for football.
All right.
Cam was the big news for me.
So,
Um, like I said, I was on golf. I'm intrigued because I'm in the mindset of golf because I'll be playing golf on the 20th. So my mind is all on golf. I'm trying to get my muscle memory so my drives are 300 yards and you know I got to get my putter right and
all
so my
right.
mind's on golf. So here's an interesting story about golf. Delta Airlines is known for decapitating golf clubs. They are the airlines that's known for decapitating golf clubs. So anytime people travel with their golf clubs and they check them, check them into the plane, putters, drivers, all kinds of clubs are being decapitated. So they've got they've got to fight that negative perception about them. So I thought that was pretty funny.
That is
It,
funny.
it happened to
So
a pro golfer who traveled on Delta Airlines.
that's funny. So Tim has some advice for you. He said, "Remember, it's all in the hips, Bodine. It's all in the hips."
And Tim, you're absolutely right. That's why I've been walking because I don't want my hamstrings and my legs to get weak on me in the back nine. Because once your legs go, that's when your swing goes, and that's when your score goes up instead of down. So I've been walking at least an hour and a half to 2 hours. I try to get it in every day, and so yeah, I'm ready. Thank you. It's all in the hips. And remember, I was a defensive back. You got to shift those hips after that, in that back pedal, shift the hips, right? So I'm getting ready.
Looks like Bodine would be amazing on the dance floor. You got some moves back there.
Yeah, that was the old Bodine. Right now, it's I haven't danced in years. I wouldn't even know where to start. Wouldn't know where to start. So,
So
talking about
just
dancing. Talking about dancing. Did you hear about Usain Bolt in a
I heard about it.
potential race against Tyreek Hill to see who's the
I
fastest?
I did. I thought that was yeah, that would be a great matchup. I'd love to see that if it really
I'd
comes off. And did you see what's on the line? Gold medal. He's wagering one of his gold medals. So I think that yeah, that would be very interesting.
Come on, ESPN/Disney. Let's put
Let's get it.
celebrity. Put the what is that? What was that show that used to be on when we were growing up? The competition that they have with athletes. They need to put that back on, right?
Yeah,
Come on,
I remember
come on,
that. I Yeah,
right?
Justin Bolt will win. Yeah, Justin. I forgot the name of that show, but yeah, we'll have to look that up. Justin saying ESPN Classic. That would be so. Justin's also bringing up a story I wanted to bring up. Thoughts on Shelby, and I don't know if you remember this story. It's a follow up to our Olympic coverage. Remember, I told you we talked about Shelby Houlihan. She was one of the sprinters, and she failed her drug test because she said that she ate tainted pork from the burrito from that she got from the truck.
Uh huh.
So the Court of Arbitration for Sports found that her story was very far fetched, and they upheld her 4-year suspension, and that's a lengthy suspension. So by the time
Oh,
that's up, yeah,
yeah.
she's actually I believe she'll be just about around her 32nd birthday when the suspension is up. So that could derail her career, unfortunately, in entirety. But
And
yeah,
what
four
was
years
what was
is tough.
what was the what was her sport or
She was the sprinter, and she was, I
oh, she's
believe,
done. She's done.
yeah,
If she's a
I don't
sprinter,
maybe I can't recall if it was a 400 meter, and maybe she was. I think she was in the 400 meter and the 1500 meter, and I could be wrong, but I believe she was a sprinter and definitely track and field. But I believe those were her two events, and yeah, I don't think that she'll be able to make a comeback in 4 years.
she's done. Unfortunately, she's
Yeah.
done because that if you probably look at medal winners throughout history, gold medal, silver, bronze, and you look at that age group, I'm pretty sure you aren't going to find 30, 31, 32-year olds on the stage, right? Receiving a medal at that age. That
Oh,
let's
so
give Justin that for homework.
well, Adrian and George are comment. Oh, not commenting on this name of that show. Was it Superstars?
Superstars.
And then George is saying this is a different one. I think Battle of the Network Stars. Yeah, those are good shows.
Hey,
We're gonna the Battle of the Coast to Coast Stars. We'll have to start our own series.
listen, everything's being live streamed or create that the content is being recreated. Like they're bringing some of the old shows and making them new shows. Hey, bring it back, Disney. Bring it back. Put it as some
Yeah.
content on those off days. After football season ends, and in between, some sports. Give us something to watch. I'd watch that. Seriously, I would
I'd
watch
watch
Usain
that.
Bolt. Yeah, I'd watch that.
So all we need to do is say, "Hey, Justin, start emailing. Do your magic. Start emailing Disney 50,000 times and get on it. Get on that."
So here's a serious topic. I don't know if you noticed it, but our good friend Justin sent me some information or brought it to my attention about the black surfers
I saw it.
having some issues or trying to claim their spot. Again, part of the diversity conversation on our show. Obviously, with our history regarding swimming pools and beaches. Remember, I wrote about this in my book, right?
I do. I do.
How we had to drive 35 to 40 minutes out of our way past all of the white beaches to go to the black beach. And we couldn't understand it as kids. Mom, aren't we driving? I mean, Jacksonville Beach is 20 minutes away. We got to drive 45 minutes to another beach. So there's a lot of history. So I completely understand where those surfers are coming from. I think, you know, that story is going to resonate with a lot of people, and then see if we can get it right. You know, we're in the 2021. Let's get it right. If the surfers want to surf, and they want to surf where they want to surf, if other people are surfing there, it's only fair. Let's let them surf.
I agree 100%. And Justin sent me that story as well. I think it's almost it's unconscionable that we're even bringing that up at this in 2021. We're having that same discussion in a sport. And think about surfing as a sport. It's almost seems as if that should be, it's so zen about peace, love, and inclusion. Right from the, it seems almost like an anomaly that it would even be tainting that sport. But unfortunately, you know, I don't want to call it out as well. May I suppose it is a form of racism, correct? I mean,
Well,
it's hard to say, but I don't know
it's
all of the specific details. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say it's not. But if it's not corrected, I would say that it would be going down that avenue.
here's what I can say it is. Some people are jealous. Some people are resentful. Some people have envy. That I can make that statement and not have to retract it, because we know human beings. Some people might resent the fact that those athletes are getting some publicity, right? That might be deserved. They have envy because of those athletes getting some publicity. They may resent that, right? And so those are human issues. People can't seem to control their emotions, right? We've talked about this before. If you have good coaches, teachers, they're supposed to teach you to control your emotions, right? Don't let the bad parts and the bad thoughts come out of your mouth. Keep it inside, right? Deal with it. Learn to deal with it, right? So, yeah, and it's something that's going to take some time, but if you want to create an opportunity for that industry to make money, you've got to open it up and create opportunities for everybody, so you can get the big TV contract and make some money. But if it's the same folks who aren't recreating and coming up with great riding waves, and someone can do that, it's only going to help. I mean, it's just like Tiger Woods. Golf was dying on TV until Tiger came, because Jack was old, Arnold was old, right? Tiger comes along and look how much money folks are making. So come on, let the folks surf, right? I don't
And
surf, but I grew up on the beach. I don't surf, but I watch.
I watch surfing. I enjoy it, but I don't think I've ever seen a black surfer. I think that there's very little diversity in surfing, and Adrian has a great point. He's agreeing with you. Just because you think it, it doesn't mean you have to say it. And I think that it's obviously true, but it's very difficult. I believe it's very difficult when you're young. I mean, there's just a different impulse control, the lack of it. And so, yeah, and Justin's agreeing with me. He's saying, I don't know why surfing does not have a lot of diversity, but I think it's exactly what you said. It's just the old stereotype and the stigma and wading into the water and the perception that Black people avoid it.
Listen, I used to challenge any teammate who said to me I couldn't swim. I go, really? You want to try me? Let's go. Remember,
Let's go.
my dorm freshman year had a pool in it. I
I
could
know, I love
literally,
that.
I literally could walk downstairs. Adrian, you remember this? St. Mary's had a pool in it. Anybody tried to hint that stereotype onto me, I was like, instead of punching them in the face or body slamming them, which I didn't have to do because no one said it in a very mean way, I would say nicely, you want to go try? I can swim. Let's see.
Adrian
So
saying, yep, St. Mary's.
people
So
don't people don't research why that stereotype happened, right? So there are a number of reasons.
I can envision you and Adrian down in that pool doing your synchronized swimming routines. I can just see it now. Also, Adrian is saying Adrian is also debunking the stereotype. He swam on a swim team when he was a kid. So I think there you have it.
Well, Adrian, again, he's from Jersey. He probably went to I grew up with the word beach. When I came up north, I learned it was called the shore. So he was minutes away from the shore. I'm sure he could swim with the best of them because he was he was an athlete. He played baseball and he probably played football and everything else. So he's a Jersey man. They could do everything. Although I couldn't understand the word, we called it a U-turn. They call it a turnabout. I was like, a what? What's a turnabout? So New Jersey's got they got some issues a little bit,
They have some quirks. They have some quirks. But Adrian makes up for it. So perfect. So I also want to talk about it's not a lengthy subject, but I want to give the USA women's team over in the Paralympics. They have dominated over there, and they're rocking, and they're claiming 65% of the medals for the U.S. team, and they're dominating over the men and really dominating in Tokyo overall. So I think that's very impressive.
Year of the woman, right? Let's keep it moving. Let's keep this wave going for the duration, right? Let's get the NCAA to be fair for the basketball females of college athletes in terms of their coverage, in terms of how much the schools can make for March Madness. Let's get the female soccer players up on the same level or more, since they win more than in men's soccer. I mean, let's do this. I mean, let's make it happen. This is crazy. They are winning. They're showing they can win. They're showing they can compete. They're showing leadership. They're not, getting in trouble, driving drunk, putting thumbs down. I mean, they're doing all the right things. The money should be going to the people doing all the right things, not the people, making life difficult. Come on. What's wrong with these corporations out there? Put your money in the right place.
I agree. Of course, I agree. And I think too that they're really coming out and showing their personalities. I think that they're being showcased more. Not enough, but we're starting to get an affinity and we're starting to like many of the female players across the world of sports because we're getting to know them better. And I think that that's often how popularity ensues, right? We get to know about people. It's been commonplace, of course, in tennis. We see women in tennis, but even think about the top players in tennis. They've been disliked. Venus and Serena were disliked for years, right? They came out, and I think in part because they were different. They weren't the stereotypical Chris Everett Lloyd, and they were more athletic. They were Black, and they were not shy. They spoke their mind. Their father was also very, in the beginning in their career, he was out there in the forefront, and he was a little bit abrasive. But I think that's true. But we didn't typically like women in sports, and now that's turning around.
Got to turn it around, and I'm looking forward to Will Smith playing their father in the upcoming movie. And so
really, I didn't know about that. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of highlights on probably YouTube, I think. So so that's gonna be interesting, and it's more, the movie's more so about the father, than the girls. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I mean, it's time. I mean, to me, the more sports, the better. If we cover everyone. That's plenty of content. You're going to find personalities. You're going to find all kinds of things that is interesting, and it'll be good for the kids, both boys and girls, growing up seeing it. So as they mature and get older, it's not foreign to them. And by the time they get to college, they know how to act, meaning the guys know how to act, and the girls are right where they want to be. They're comfortable and they can focus on the things that they need to do versus having to fight the NCAA to get what's fair. Come on. We want to see people compete.
We do. All right. So believe it or not, it's 11:01.
Hey, time flies when you're having fun.
Exactly. So what do you think? I'm gonna let you close it out. Give your closing thoughts. We never know what's going to come up during the week, so we can't even do a sneak peek in next week. It's minute by minute. We're on the hottest trends, but how do you want to close it out tonight?
Hey, listen, I just did my little monologue, but all I want to say is, I want to thank all the folks that are watching and attending, and help us out. We need more representation. We need more women to be watching this program. Talk to your sisters, your friends, their wives, girlfriends, significant other. Get them on the program. We need to see them.
So this is a good way. Tim saying, "Dear Bo," it's almost like a Dear John letter. Dear Bo, I have a grudge against Villanova. They beat my Montana Grizzlies in a playoff football. I thought Villanova only played basketball. I will never trust a Wildcat ever again.
Yeah, that's people make the mistake. Remember, we got Howie Long, Brian Westbrook, and a few others, Brian Finneran, right? So we're not a football factory, but hey, listen, we've got some players. And yes, we did win it in 2009. Yes, we did. So
So that's a great way to close it out. Of course, I want to thank all the viewers. So we have Justin and Adrian, George, Tim, Jason, Adam. Thanks everybody for tuning in. You really help us make the show, keep us moving along, and engage with us, and we appreciate it. And we're your fans, and we hope that you're ours as well. And of course, I want to shout out Adam for noticing my increased proficiency in the world of sports. And I really want to thank Bodine for bringing me into the world of sports. I've been out of athletics for quite some time in regard to learning and knowing about it, and it's broadened my world and perspective. And I'm so glad to call you my friend and partner, Bodine. So thank you. I'll close it out like that, and also thank Chris behind the scenes. We couldn't do it without him as well. So
absolutely, we'll see everybody next week.
All right. Thanks, guys. Play us out, Chris. Another great week, everybody. Thank you.